The shuttle doors opened with a soft hiss, and Kim stepped onto Station Valora for the first time. She took a deep breath and looked around. The station was huge. Lights of every color blinked from signs she could not read. Aliens of all shapes and sizes walked past her. Some had scales. Some had feathers. Some floated in the air. Some had too many eyes, and some had none at all. Yuna was 26 years old. She had short black hair and calm brown eyes. Back on Earth, she had worked as a field medic in difficult places. She had seen jungles, deserts, and frozen mountains. She had helped people in war zones and disaster areas, but nothing had prepared her for this. She was the first human exchange student at the Galactic Academy. Earth had only made contact with the galaxy 5 years ago. Humans were still new, still strange, still feared. A small floating robot appeared in front of her. It beeped twice and projected a map in the air. A blue line showed her the way to her classroom. Yuna nodded and followed the path. As she walked through the station, she noticed something odd. Aliens moved out of her way. They did not push past her like they did with each other. Instead, they stepped aside. Some pressed themselves against the walls. A few whispered to each other and pointed. Yuna heard bits of their conversations through her translation device. Is that a human? From Earth? The Deathworld. I heard they eat other animals. Raw. Heard they can run for days without stopping. Do not look at it. Do not make eye contact. Yuna kept her face calm, but inside, she felt a mix of emotions. She was not a monster. She was just a person. But she understood their fear. She had read the reports. Earth was classified as a Category 12 death world, the highest rating ever given to a planet that produced intelligent life. Most species in the galaxy came from peaceful worlds, worlds with stable climates, gentle creatures, and safe environments. Earth was the opposite. She reached the classroom and stopped at the door. Through the window, she could see dozens of alien students sitting at curved desks. They were all different. One looked like a giant insect. One was made of crystal. One had blue skin and gills. One was covered in soft fur. They were talking and laughing. Just like students anywhere. Yuna pushed the door open and walked inside. The room went silent. Every head turned toward her. Every eye, every sensor, every antenna focused on her. The laughter stopped. The whispers died. For a long moment, no one moved. Then the professor spoke. "Ah, you must be our exchange student." The professor was a tall insectoid creature with 4 arms and large compound eyes. His voice was calm and smooth. "I am Professor Talon. Please, come in. Find a seat." Yuna walked down the aisle. She felt the stares on her back like heat from a fire. She found an empty seat near the middle of the room and sat down. The students on either side of her shifted away slightly. She pretended not to notice. Professor Talon tapped a device on his desk, and a holographic screen appeared at the front of the room. Today, we continue our study of planetary classification. Specifically, we will discuss death worlds. A ripple went through the class. Several students glanced at Yuna. Death worlds, the professor continued, are planets with extreme conditions that make survival very difficult. High gravity, toxic atmospheres, dangerous weather, deadly wildlife. Most death worlds do not produce complex life. Those that do rarely produce intelligent species. And those intelligent species almost never reach space. He tapped the device again. A planet appeared on the screen. It was blue and green and white. Beautiful. Familiar. Yuna's heart tightened. It was Earth, Professor Talon said. Is Earth. Home of the humans. It is the only Category 12 death world in known history to produce a spacefaring civilization. A hand went up. It belonged to a young amphibian student with smooth green skin and large golden eyes. "Professor, what makes Earth so dangerous?" "It looks peaceful." "An excellent question, Vila." The professor turned to look at Yuna. Perhaps our guest would like to answer. The whole class turned to face her again. Yuna felt her pulse quicken, but she kept her expression calm. She had faced worse than curious students. "I can try," she said. Her voice was steady. She stood up slowly and walked to the front of the room. The professor stepped aside to give her space. Yuna looked at the image of Earth, her home, her beautiful, deadly home. I understand why you think Earth looks peaceful, she began. From space, it does. Blue oceans, green forests, white clouds. It looks like a paradise. She paused. But it is not. She touched the holographic screen, and the image zoomed in on a coastline. Waves crashed against rocks. These oceans cover 70% of our planet. They contain creatures that can swallow you whole. Jellyfish with poison that can stop your heart. Sharks with teeth like knives. Currents that can drag you down and never let you go. The image shifted to a forest. Tall trees stretched toward the sky. These forests look beautiful, but inside them live predators that hunt in silence. Snakes with venom that destroys your blood. Insects that carry diseases. Plants that produce poison if you touch them. Another image. A mountain range. Snow and ice covered the peaks. These mountains can kill you in 100 ways. The cold alone can freeze you solid. The thin air makes it hard to breathe. Avalanches can bury you in seconds. Another image. A vast desert. Sand dunes stretch to the horizon. In these deserts, no water, no shade. Temperatures that can boil your skin during the day and freeze you at night. Vila raised her hand again. How do humans survive in such places? Yuna smiled slightly. We adapt. We learn, we fight. We never give up. She looked around the room. The students were leaning forward now. The fear in their eyes had changed to something else. Curiosity, interest, maybe even a little respect. But the environment is only the beginning, Yuna continued. I have not even told you about the air we breathe. A crystalline student near the back spoke up. His body sparkled under the classroom lights. What about your air? Yuna took a deep breath. Our atmosphere is 21% oxygen. The reaction was immediate. Gasps filled the room. The crystalline student made a crackling sound that might have been a scream. The furry student covered her face with her paws. Even Professor Talon took a step backward. Oxygen. Vila whispered. You breathe oxygen? At that concentration? Yuna nodded. Every breath. Every day. From the moment we are born until the moment we die. The room was silent. The students stared at her like she had just told them she was made of fire, and she had not even started yet. The silence in the classroom was thick enough to touch. Yuna stood at the front, watching the alien students process what she had just told them. 21% oxygen? To her, it was just air. To them, it was poison. Professor Talon recovered first. He cleared his throat, a strange clicking sound, and addressed the class. For those who may not understand, oxygen at concentrations above 10% is considered extremely dangerous by galactic standards. It is highly reactive. It causes rapid oxidation. It can start fires with the smallest spark. A student with gray skin and 4 eyes raised 2 hands. But how do humans survive breathing it? Does it not burn you from inside? Yuna shook her head. Our bodies evolved to use oxygen. We need it. Our cells use it to create energy. Without oxygen, we die in minutes. Minutes. The gray student looked horrified. Yes, our brains stop working first, then our hearts, then everything else. Yuna said this calmly, like she was explaining how water was wet. Oxygen is not our enemy. It is our life. She turned back to the holographic display and pulled up new images. Diagrams of Earth's atmosphere appeared, but oxygen is not the only challenge in our air. Our atmosphere also blocks most of the radiation from our sun. Without this protection, the radiation would destroy our cells and cause disease. What kind of radiation? Asked Vila, the amphibian student. Ultraviolet light mainly. It can burn our skin in less than an hour if we are not careful. Long exposure can cause mutations in our cells. Cancer. Yuna touched her own arm. Our bodies produce a pigment called melanin to protect us. That is why humans have different skin colors. Those whose ancestors lived in places with stronger sunlight have more melanin. A small furry student named Kira raised her paw. She was barely 3 feet tall, with large ears and soft brown fur. You mean your bodies changed to survive? On their own? Over many generations, yes. We call it adaptation, evolution. Our species has been changing and adapting for hundreds of thousands of years. The crystalline student, whose name was Orin, made a chiming sound. This is remarkable. On my world, the environment is stable. It has been the same for millions of years. We never needed to adapt, Una nodded. Earth is not stable. It changes constantly, and we had to change with it. She pulled up a new image. It showed Earth from space, but different. The planet was tilted on its axis. Lines showed how it moved around its sun. Earth rotates on a tilted axis, she explained. This creates what we call seasons. During part of the year, one half of the planet is closer to the sun and gets more heat. During another part, it is farther away and gets less heat. How much does the temperature change? Professor Talon asked. He seemed genuinely curious now, his compound eyes focused entirely on her. In some places, the difference between summer and winter can be 60 degrees or more. Several students made sounds of disbelief. Kira whispered something to the student next to her. Orin's crystal body flickered with colors. How do you survive such extreme changes? Vila asked. Una smiled. We build shelters. We make clothing. We store food. We learn to prepare for the changes. The seasons taught us to plan ahead, to work together, to think about the future. She changed the image again. Now it showed different parts of Earth, frozen lands covered in ice, burning deserts with no water, thick jungles filled with plants, vast grasslands that stretched forever. Earth has many different environments, Una continued, and humans live in almost all of them. We live in frozen places where the temperature never goes above freezing. We live in deserts where rain does not fall for years. We live on mountains so high that the air is too thin for most creatures to breathe. We live in jungles so thick that sunlight never reaches the ground. A tall student with gray skin and a serious face leaned forward. His name was Dreth, and he had been silent until now. Why would anyone choose to live in such places? Una thought about the question. Sometimes we had no choice. Sometimes we were driven there by enemies or by disaster. But sometimes we went there just to see if we could. Humans are curious. We want to know what is beyond the next hill, the next mountain, the next ocean. That curiosity has taken us to every corner of our world. She pulled up images of human settlements in extreme places. Research stations in Antarctica surrounded by endless ice. Cities built on the edges of deserts. Villages high in the mountains, where people lived among the clouds. These places tried to kill us, Una said, but we refused to leave. We learned to survive. We learned to thrive. Professor Talon spoke up. Class, what you are hearing is extraordinary. Most species develop on worlds that support them. They live in comfort. They do not need to struggle. But humans evolved on a world that actively tried to destroy them. Every day was a battle for survival. Una nodded. And we are not even talking about the weather yet. There is more? Kira squeaked while Una almost laughed. Much more. Earth has violent weather. Storms that produce winds strong enough to destroy buildings. Rain so heavy it floods entire cities. Lightning that strikes the ground thousands of times every day. She showed them images of hurricanes, tornadoes, and thunderstorms. The class watched in horror as they saw a massive funnel of wind tear across the land, destroying everything in its path. We call that a tornado, Una explained. They appear without much warning. They can throw cars into the air. They can level entire towns in minutes. And you cannot stop them? Orin asked. No, we cannot control the weather. We can only predict it. And sometimes, not even that. She showed them another image. A massive wave of water, taller than any building, rushing toward a coastline. This is a tsunami. It happens when the ground under the ocean moves suddenly. A single wave can destroy everything for miles inland. Vila's golden eyes were wide. Does this happen often? Often enough. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, droughts. Yuna listed them like items on a shopping list. Earth never stops trying to kill us. Dreth spoke again, his deep voice thoughtful. And yet your species numbers in the billions? 8 billion, Yuna confirmed. We spread across the entire planet. We built cities. We created technology. We developed medicine and science and art. We did all of this while our world tried to destroy us every single day. The bell chimed softly, signaling a short break. But no one moved. The students stayed in their seats, staring at the human woman at the front of the room. Professor Talon broke the silence. We will continue after the break. I believe our guest has much more to tell us. He looked at Yuna with something new in his compound eyes. It might have been fear. It might have been respect. It was probably both. Yuna returned to her seat. As she sat down, she noticed that the students around her had not moved away this time. Kira even gave her a small, nervous smile. It was a start. The break ended, and the students returned to their seats. But the atmosphere in the room had changed. Before, there had been fear and distance. Now, there was curiosity. Fascination. The alien students leaned forward in their seats, eager to hear more about the Deathworld called Earth. Professor Talon tapped his desk, and the holographic screen came back to life. For the second half of our lesson, I would like our guest to discuss Earth's fauna, the creatures that share her world. Yuna stood and walked back to the front of the room. She took a moment to gather her thoughts. How could she explain Earth's animals to beings who had never seen anything like them? She decided to start simple. Earth has millions of different species, she began. Animals of every size and shape. Some are peaceful, some are dangerous. Many of them can kill humans. She pulled up an image of a wolf. Gray fur, sharp teeth, yellow eyes that seemed to glow even in the hologram. This is a wolf. It is a predator. A hunter. Wolves work together in groups called packs. They can bring down prey much larger than themselves. Kira tilted her head. It has such large teeth. Is it the most dangerous animal on your world? Yuna shook her head. Not even close. She changed the image. Now they saw a great white shark. Its mouth was open, showing rows of triangular teeth. This lives in our oceans. It can sense blood in the water from miles away. It can bite through bone. It has been hunting for millions of years, almost unchanged. It is a perfect killing machine. The students shuddered. Vela, who came from an aquatic world, looked particularly disturbed. We swim in waters where these creatures live? Orin asked, disbelief in his voice. Yes, we surf on waves above them. We dive down to see them. Some humans have even swum with them on purpose. Why would anyone do that? Dreth demanded. Yuna paused. It was a fair question. Curiosity, mostly. And maybe to prove that we could. Humans do not like to be afraid. When something scares us, many of us want to face it. She showed them more images. Crocodiles wading in murky water. Venomous snakes coiled to strike. Spiders with poison that could kill in hours. Bears that stood twice the height of a human. Lions that hunted in groups across open plains. Each image brought new sounds of shock from the students. By the time she showed them a hippopotamus, explaining that this plant-eating animal killed more humans in some regions than any predator, several students looked ready to faint. I do not understand, said a student Yuna had not heard speak before. It was a floating creature made of gas contained in a thin membrane. You have no claws, no fangs, no armor, no venom. How did humans become the dominant species? Yuna smiled. She had been waiting for this question. You were right. Compared to most predators, humans are weak. We cannot run as fast as a cheetah. We cannot fight like a bear. We cannot hide like a snake. Our senses are not as sharp as a wolf's. She held up her hand and spread her fingers. We have these hands that can grip and build and create. We have brains that can plan and remember and learn. And we have something else. something that made us the most dangerous creatures on our world. What? Vela asked softly. Endurance. The word hung in the air. Professor Talon leaned forward with interest. Early humans could not catch fast animals, Una explained. So they did something no other creature on Earth could do. They followed their prey. Not for minutes. Not for hours. For days. She pulled up an image of an African savanna. Endless grassland under a burning sun. Humans are the best long-distance runners on Earth. We can sweat to cool our bodies, while most animals must stop and pant. So our ancestors would chase an animal at a steady pace. The animal would run, then stop to rest. But the humans kept coming. Always coming. Never stopping. Eventually, after hours or even days, the animal would collapse from exhaustion, and the humans would catch it. The classroom was utterly silent. You hunted by simply refusing to stop? Dreth asked. Yes. We call it persistence hunting. Some communities still do it today. Kira's voice was barely a whisper. That is terrifying. Una nodded slowly. To our prey, we were nightmares. Creatures that appeared, disappeared, and always returned. No matter how fast you ran, we would find you. No matter where you hid, we would track you. We never stopped. She changed the image again. This time it showed early humans gathered around a fire, tools in their hands. We also learned to make weapons. Sharpened stones for cutting. Spears for throwing. Later, bows and arrows. We turned sticks and rocks into extensions of our bodies. We could kill from a distance without ever getting close to danger. Orin made a low, chiming sound. You compensated for your physical weaknesses with intelligence and tools. Exactly. And we did more than hunt. We tamed fire. Fire kept us warm, cooked our food, and scared away predators. We built shelters to protect ourselves from the weather. We worked together in groups, sharing knowledge and protecting each other. She thought of her family then. Her grandfather, Tay, who had been a fisherman. He had told her stories of the sea, of storms and sharks and waves that could swallow boats whole. Once, when he was young, a shark had attacked his small fishing boat. He had fought it off with a knife and his bare hands. He still had scars on his arms, faded with age, but still visible. My grandfather fought a shark once, Una said, her voice softer now. He was alone on a small boat. The shark tried to capsize him. He stabbed it until it swam away. Then he sailed home with a broken arm and a smile on his face. Why was he smiling? Vila asked. Because he survived. Because he won. Against something bigger and stronger and more dangerous than himself, Juna met Vila's golden eyes. That is what humans do. We face things that should kill us, and we find ways to survive. She thought of her brother, June, a mountaineer who had climbed the highest peaks on Earth. Once he had been caught in a blizzard at high altitude. His supplies were lost. His radio was dead. The temperature dropped so low that his water froze solid. My brother survived 3 days in a blizzard, Una continued. He dug a cave in the snow. He burned his extra clothing and gear for warmth. He ate snow for water. When the storm passed, he walked down the mountain alone. The rescuers found him halfway down, still walking. He did not give up, Dreth observed. He never considered giving up. That was not an option for him. Una looked around the room. That is not an option for any human. We do not know how to give up. Our ancestors survived because they refused to die. That stubbornness is in our blood. In our bones. The bell chimed again, marking another break. But once more, no one moved. The students sat frozen, their eyes fixed on the human woman who had just shown them what survival truly meant. Professor Talon finally spoke. I think we all need a moment to process this. Let us take a longer break. When we return, I believe there is still more to learn. Una nodded and walked back to her seat. As she passed Kira, the small furry student reached out and touched her arm gently. You are not what I expected, Kira said quietly. What did you expect? Una asked. A monster. Kira's ears lowered slightly. I was wrong. Una smiled softly. You were not entirely wrong. We can be monsters when we need to be. But we can also be kind. We choose what we are. Kira blinked her large eyes. I think I would like to learn more about humans. Then stay, Yuna said. I have more to tell. When the break ended, the classroom felt different. Students who had avoided looking at Yuna now watched her with open fascination. Some had moved closer to her seat. The fear was still there, but it had been joined by something else. Respect, perhaps. Or wonder. Professor Talon stood at the front of the room, his compound eyes sweeping across his students. Before we continue, I want to acknowledge something. This lesson has been ... unusual. Most species never encounter a Deathworld survivor. The fact that humans not only survived but thrived is remarkable beyond words. He turned to Yuna. I would like to ask about something we have not yet discussed. Something that makes humans unique even among Deathworld species. Yuna stood and walked to the front. What would you like to know? I have studied your species, Professor Talon said slowly, and I have found something troubling. Humans do not only fight the dangers of their world, they also fight each other. A heavy silence fell over the room. Yuna nodded slowly. Yes, that is true. Dreth leaned forward, his gray face serious. Why? You live on a world that wants to kill you. Why waste energy fighting your own kind? It was a question Yuna had asked herself many times. She thought carefully before answering. Humans are complicated, she began. We are capable of great love and great cruelty. We protect our families, our friends, our communities, but throughout history, we have also fought wars against each other. She pulled up images on the holographic screen. Ancient battles with swords and shields, trenches filled with soldiers, cities in flames, mushroom clouds rising against dark skies. We have fought over land, over resources, over ideas, over religion and power and pride. Her voice was quiet but steady. We have created weapons that could destroy entire cities in seconds. The image showed a ruined city, buildings reduced to rubble and ash, shadows burned into stone. This happened in a single moment, Yuna said. One weapon. Hundreds of thousands of people. Gone. The students stared in horror. Oren's crystalline body had gone dark. Kira had covered her eyes with her paws. Even Professor Talon seemed shaken. You created weapons like this? Vela whispered. Weapons to use against yourselves. Yes. Yuna did not look away from the image. And after we saw what these weapons could do, we did not destroy them. We built more. Many nations on Earth still have them. Enough to destroy our entire world many times over. This is madness, Dreth said. His voice was rough. How can any species survive such self-destruction? Yuna changed the image. Now it showed people rebuilding. Workers clearing rubble. Families planting gardens in the ashes. Children playing in streets that had been destroyed just years before. 'Cause we rebuild, she said. No matter how badly we destroy ourselves, we always rebuild. After the worst wars in our history, humans came together. We created organizations to promote peace. We wrote laws to protect the innocent. We promised ourselves that we would do better. And did you? Kira asked, her voice small. Sometimes. Not always. We are still learning. Yuna turned to face the class. Humans are not perfect. We have done terrible things to each other. But we have also done beautiful things. We have sacrificed ourselves for strangers. We have run into danger to save people we have never met. We have devoted our lives to making the world better for those who come after us. Professor Talon spoke up. What about disease? My records indicate that your species has faced many plagues. Yuna nodded and changed the display. Medical charts and historical images appeared. Yes, throughout our history, diseases have killed more humans than all our wars combined. She showed them images from the Black Death. Empty villages. Mass graves. People dying in the streets. This plague killed 1/3 of an entire continent's population, she explained. Millions of people died. Entire cities were emptied. For a while, people thought it was the end of everything. But it was not, Oren observed. No, humans survived. We learned about the disease. We developed ways to fight it. Centuries later, we created something called vaccines. Medicines that teach our bodies to fight diseases before they can kill us. She showed them more images. Scientists working in laboratories. Doctors treating patients. Charts showing diseases being eliminated, one by one. We conquered many of the plagues that once killed us by the millions. Smallpox, polio, measles. We turned death sentences into minor inconveniences. Remarkable, Professor Talon murmured. Why, UNA thought of her grandmother. Hannah. She'd been a nurse during a terrible epidemic. Una remembered visiting her as a child, seeing the exhaustion in her eyes, but also the determination. My grandmother was a nurse, Una said softly. During a great sickness that swept across our world, she worked for months without rest. She saved hundreds of people. She caught the disease herself twice and survived both times. When I asked her how she kept going, she said she did not have a choice. People needed her. So she kept working. Was she not afraid? Vela asked. Of course she was afraid. But she did her job anyway. That is what courage is. Being afraid and doing what you must do regardless. Una pulled up more images. Asteroids striking the Earth. Ice ages covering the land in white. Supervolcanoes erupting with enough force to darken the sky for years. Disease and war are not the only threats we have faced. Earth itself has tried to destroy us many times. An asteroid impact killed most life on our planet millions of years ago. Ice ages have frozen our world multiple times. Supervolcanic eruptions have covered continents in ash and blocked out the sun, and humans survived all of this. Dreth sounded almost disbelieving now. Our ancestors did. They survived ice ages by migrating, by adapting, by working together. They survived volcanic winters by finding new sources of food. They survived everything Earth threw at them because they refused to give up. She looked at each student in turn. Do you understand now? We did not become this way by choice. We were forged by our world. Every disaster, every plague, every war made us stronger, harder, more determined. The weak died. The survivors passed on their strength to the next generation. Professor Talon spoke slowly, as if choosing his words with great care. What you are describing is ... extraordinary. Most species in the galaxy have never faced such challenges. We developed on peaceful worlds. We spread to the stars without struggle. We have technology and comfort and safety. We have none of those things guaranteed, Una agreed. Every generation of humans has had to fight for survival. That is why we are the way we are. That is why we reached the stars. Not because we are special or blessed, but because we had to. Staying on Earth forever was never an option. We had to expand, had to explore, had to find new worlds, new resources, new ways to survive. She paused, letting her words sink in. Earth made us into survivors, she said. And survivors do whatever it takes to keep surviving. The classroom was silent for a long moment. Then Kira spoke up, her voice thoughtful. I think I was wrong about humans, she said. I thought you were dangerous because you were violent. But that is not it, is it? Una met her eyes. What do you think it is? You are dangerous because you never stop. No matter what happens. You just keep going. Una smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who understood pain and loss and struggle. Someone who had seen the worst and kept walking anyway. Yes, she said. That is exactly it. The final section of the class approached. The holographic display had been dimmed, and the students sat in thoughtful silence. Professor Talon stood at the front of the room, but he had not spoken for several minutes. He seemed to be processing everything he had heard. Finally, he cleared his throat. The clicking sound drew every eye in the room. We have one final question to address, he said. His voice was softer than before, almost gentle. I have asked this question to many species over my career. I have received many answers. But today, I believe the answer will be different. He turned to Una, who still stood at the front of the classroom, given everything you have told us about Earth. About your history, Your struggles, your wars and plagues and disasters, ... He paused. What, in your opinion, makes humans truly dangerous? The question hung in the air like smoke. The students waited. Yuna could feel their eyes on her, dozens of alien gazes waiting for her answer. She took her time. This was the most important question of all. I have told you about our environment, she began slowly. About our predators. About our wars and our diseases. I have shown you the dangers we face every day. But none of those things are what make us dangerous. She walked to the holographic display and pulled up one final image. It was simple. Just a photograph of a human family. A mother, a father, 2 children. They were smiling, standing in front of a small house with a garden. This is what makes us dangerous, Yuna said. The students looked confused. Vila raised her hand. A family? I do not understand, Yuna smiled. Look at them. They are ordinary people. They are not soldiers or scientists or heroes. They are just a family. But do you know what they will do if something threatens their children? She met Vila's golden eyes. Anything. They will do absolutely anything. They will fight enemies 10 times their size. They will run through fire. They will face impossible odds without hesitation. They will die if they have to, as long as their children survive. She changed the image. Now it showed a firefighter running into a burning building. Then a doctor working through the night. Then ordinary people forming a human chain to rescue someone from a flood. Humans will risk their lives for strangers, Yuna continued. Not because they are ordered to. Not because they expect a reward. But because something inside us says we must. When we see someone in danger, something in our hearts tells us to help. Even if it is dangerous. Even if it might kill us. Dreth spoke up, his deep voice thoughtful. We have studied human behavior. We know about your capacity for violence. But this is something else. It is the same thing, Yuna said. The same force that drives us to fight also drives us to protect. The same stubbornness that helped our ancestors chase prey for days is the same stubbornness that makes us refuse to let go of hope. Explorers crossing frozen wastelands. Scientists spending decades trying to cure a single disease. Artists creating beauty in the darkest times. Parents working 3 jobs so their children could have better lives, Hope Yuna said. That is what makes us dangerous. We hope when there is no reason to hope. We fight when there is no reason to fight. We keep going when everything tells us to stop. She thought of all the stories she knew. Her grandfather fighting a shark with a knife, her brother walking down a mountain in a blizzard, her grandmother working through an epidemic. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things because giving up was not in their nature. On Earth, we have a saying, she continued. Where there is life, there is hope. But I think for humans, it works the other way too. Where there is hope, there is life. As long as we can hope for something better, we will keep fighting. Keep surviving. Keep moving forward. Professor Talon nodded slowly. I believe I understand now. You are not dangerous because you are strong or fast or clever. You are dangerous because you never stop, no matter the odds, no matter the cost. Yes. Yuna looked at the image of the family again. We are dangerous because we care, because we love, because we hope. Those things make us capable of incredible destruction, but they also make us capable of incredible kindness. She turned to face the class one final time. I know why you were afraid of me when I walked into this room. Humans have a reputation. We come from a death world. We have fought terrible wars. We have created weapons that could destroy planets. We are new to the galaxy, and you do not know what we will do. She paused, making sure every student was listening. I cannot promise that humans will always be kind. We are not perfect. We make mistakes. We hurt each other and ourselves. But I can promise you this. If you are ever in danger, if you ever need help, if you ever face something that seems impossible, find a human. Because we do not know how to give up. And we will fight for you like we fight for our own. The bell chimed, signaling the end of class. But for the 3rd time that day, no one moved. The students sat in silence, processing everything they had learned. Then Kira stood up. The small furry student walked down the aisle toward Yuna. Her large eyes were bright with something that might have been tears. "I want to thank you," Kira said quietly. "I was so afraid when you walked in. I believed all the stories about Deathworld humans. I thought you would be. I do not know. A monster. A predator. Something to fear," Yuna waited. "But you are not a monster," Kira continued. "You are just a person. A person from a very difficult world. And instead of making you cruel, that world made you ... strong, kind, hopeful." Other students began to stand. Vila approached, her webbed hands clasped together. Arin drifted closer, his crystalline body glowing softly. Even Dreth rose from his seat, his serious face showing something like respect. "I would like to learn more about humans," Vela said. "About Earth. About your people." "So would I," Orin added. Dreth nodded. "You have given us much to think about. I do not think I will look at humans the same way again." Professor Talon stepped forward. "Miss Kim, I have taught this class for 30 years. I have studied Deathworlds and survival and the nature of dangerous species, but I've never had a lesson quite like this one." He extended one of his forearms toward her. "Thank you for sharing your world with us." Yuna took his hand and shook it gently. "Thank you for listening." As the students began to file out, Kira lingered by Yuna's side. "Miss Kim?" she asked hesitantly. Would you like to have lunch with me? I would like to hear more about your grandfather, the one who fought the shark." Yuna laughed. It was a warm sound, full of genuine happiness. "I would like that very much." They walked out of the classroom together, the human from the death world and the small furry alien from a peaceful moon. Behind them, the holographic display still showed the image of the human family. A mother, father, 2 children, smiling in front of their home, just ordinary people, the most dangerous things in the galaxy.